I have with me Kwame Chambers from Glitch Anomaly. Lovely to meet you. Thank you very much for coming on the Gravytrain. How's things for you? You good?
First of all, thank you for having me. And yes, everything is great. Looking forward to speaking with you guys today.
Excellent, good stuff. I'd love to. I mean, I did a bit of research on you and the brand, but I'd love to hear from your personal standpoint. How did the business come about? Talk to me about the origins.
Well, the origins of the business, we started it round about in 2012 when me and my business partner, Emmanuel, we were in university. And, we are we consider ourselves to be fashion conscious people, but we weren't designers. We were on a business course and, just looking around the university, we saw that, everyone was just like into trends and everyone looked the same. And it was kind of tedious for us. So we thought, one of the, what kind of business can we get into? Because we are doing a business course and, the fashion industry has a low barriers to entry.
Yeah,
Hence why it's so competitive. We thought, why not get into fashion? We like dressing. We like to wear clothes. Why not get into fashion and make something, unique? Because at the time in the high street, you wouldn't really even find anything other than grays, blues, and blacks.
yeah, yeah,
And even that, we thought, this is so limiting because we traveled. We went to different countries and we saw offerings there. We knew that the color palette can be different.
yeah,
You can't try to stand out. And we just decided that we're gonna start a brand, and the name really followed that kind of thinking. To be first, we wanted to name it Outliers, but that didn't catch on. And then we said Glitch, but then, as business students, we knew the IP, intellectual property, is the initial starting point of building a brand. So we decided to create a unique word by mirroring the glitch and the meaning, the synonym
yeah,
anomaly, and it kind of just lends into the creativity aspect. You know,
yeah.
in the beginning, God said, let us create man in his own image. The first kind of act of creation was a mirroring of self. So that's really the symbolism of the name. And we were able to easily copyright it because
I think it's these days it's very difficult to come up with a unique name, but you
exactly.
guys have clearly done it. Yeah,
Exactly. So that was very important to us to have something unique. No one has ever heard it before. You
yeah.
know, just have sit in our own space rather than to create something and then later down the line we have to fight with people in court about a name.
Yeah, yeah. So you created something unique in terms of launching the brand. What was the first sort of products and that you came up with initially back then? Because that's what 13, 14 years ago.
Yeah. Well, we spent a lot of time. We spent a lot of
Yeah,
time. I must admit, creating a strategy,
sure.
figuring out the structure of the company, because as we said, we're business students. We were learning about these things. We
Yeah,
knew a lot of the brands that we were wearing were about from 200 years, 150 years. There's no, short term way of building a brand. Selling clothes is a different operation.
yeah,
It's different strategy. If you're selling clothes, that's different. Then you are basically, your order winners is cost, is low cost, right?
yeah,
You're competing on cost if you're selling clothes. If you're building a brand, it's a long term scenario. So we knew that we weren't going to just get into selling, and we
yeah.
wanted to build a brand. We wanted to make sure we mitigate against all the risks down the line and create a good foundation so that even investors, when they come in, they can see value in the company rather than having, loads of inventory with no real emotional connection to the customers and everything. So long story short, we basically created one of the cheapest products to create, but at a high quality.
Yeah,
A beanie with an embroidery glitch anomaly on there, but very high quality.
yeah,
And we created because we also worked in retail. We did a lot of research in retail. We open close, look at what
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
material is. one of my my business partner, he worked in a high-end boutique. I don't want to say the name here, but we kind of copied the way how they serve their customers.
Yeah.
Nicely pressed, folded with paper in nice luxury bags, and that's what we did initially with just our beanies. And it took off in the university, and from that we knew we had something.
Yeah.
And
But
we
you've created that, haven't you? You put that effort into, rather than just, like you say, just shifting product and so the selling bit. You're building the brand. You're building
Yes,
the demand, the awareness, those types of things.
yes, and it actually, in my mark, because I after my international business course, I went on to do a master's. I went on to do a double master's in international development and management. And my master's thesis, I used the opportunity to create a Bible for Glitch, a strategic Bible for Glitch with every step in that we should go through. And that's what we've been ticking these boxes, so we knew that we had to stick to strategy. And
Yeah.
so we're not headless chickens pivoting every time there's a new trend. We try to follow a new trend. We knew it was going to be a long haul, and we knew we weren't going to be as successful sales wise as a lot of the other brands.
Yeah.
But we knew what we wanted, and that's been our journey since then.
And so, was this originally, went back then, like 12, 13 years ago? Was it a side hustle? Were you guys were working and doing
Yeah,
this?
we did it. We did our 9 to 5. We were going to
Yeah, well,
university. We had weekend jobs.
brilliant.
As I said, we only had one product at a time, and we were selling it to people. But what we were seeing is return custom.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Fans of the brand.
exact, and we had not a large, a small but dedicated
Fan base.
customer base,
Yeah.
because customer service and quality is kind of our unique selling point. We studied supply chain. We For instance, I'll give you a scenario. Right now we see what's happening with tariffs in China,
Yeah.
and a lot of big brands are being called out for creating, outsourcing and creating their products there. Within our strategy Bible, we knew this wasn't an option for us. So we utilize a lot of local artisans, tailors locally. We made sure we control the aspect of every branding of the garment. So we kind of had a dual supply chain where certain garments were standardized, and we could keep those in inventory, but those were unfinished goods. But we could differentiate whenever the demand came in, because we're in an industry with fluctuating demand. You have to have a fluid supply chain, and that's just part of our strategic thinking. And whenever I try to speak about the brand, I think it's important to kind of give people that idea, because one might look at Glitch Anomaly and say, "Oh, you've been around for 13 years," and we have people who are our peers who started brands the same time, and they're in billion-dollar valuations and doing great in terms of what they're doing, and that's off to them. But we knew what we were getting into and what we were building, so we knew we had to take other jobs. We knew we were going to have to do 9 to 5, and so
Yeah.
it wasn't a side hustle. I wouldn't call it a side hustle, but it was, we had to bootstrap and finance it at the same time.
Yeah, sure.
Everything that we sold, we put back into the brand. We bought our machinery. We have our embroidery machines. We have our printing presses, these kind of things. Because in this industry, a lot of people get into industries and they don't know what the supply chain should be. Every supply chain doesn't match every industry.
Yeah. And
this is
I guess so. What's the biggest lesson in the first few years that what's the biggest thing you've learned by actually, because you've done your university, you've done your degree, you've done your masters, but then you're actually trying to implement this business, if you like. What's been the biggest lesson for you?
The biggest lesson is identifying talent,
Mm-hmm.
and placing the right talent in the right positions.
Yeah.
And be very objective about that. Don't be subjective, not because you like the person, not because the person is nice. Make sure you know the competencies of each individual, and
That they
and,
can do the
be able
job.
to put them in the right places. Because one of the reasons why it's taking so long for us to get to a certain level of, say, valuation and sales is because we had individuals that talk up a good game, but when it came to executing, that
They
wasn't
just
the
did it.
scenario, and that
Yeah.
kind of set us back years, actually.
Did it
So
really?
I would say, and if you can imagine, that's 10 years ago, a lot of what we have in terms of technology, in terms of connectivity, it wasn't
It's very
available.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Very
was very different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So when did you first go when did you first go online? When was the first website built?
First time we went online was actually not long ago. It was 2017.
Okay, cool. And what was the I'd imagine you looked at the platforms. What was you're on Shopify, right? Is that right?
Yeah. So initially, I believe we were trying to create the perfect website
Sure.
that leans into the brand, the perfect glossy website. That was costly, and we had to wait on developers, and so we had like a landing page for a long time.
Yeah.
And when we found out about Shopify, I did my research, watch loads and loads of YouTube videos on Shopify. I realized that this platform was directly geared towards e-commerce.
Yeah.
It had the tools that we needed, and it allowed us, as a relatively small, we still consider ourselves as a startup.
Yeah,
Still
yeah.
consider, because of where we are in terms of sales and development. And it helped to kind of slightly democratize the space where we could actually compete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's user friendly. I could basically go
Yeah.
and create my own website, whereas before that would have been an issue for me because I have no knowledge of coding.
Yeah.
I've worn many hats over the years, but coding is one of them, though.
But I guess Shopify helps you do that, right? It
Exactly.
means you can, for someone like yourself running an ecom brand, it takes some of that pressure away to necessarily understand the technology and make the right decisions
Exactly.
and those sorts of things.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, in terms of the running of the website and getting the best out of it, what do you think? What do you think are your biggest challenges from a bringing in new customers acquisition perspective?
I think the biggest challenge we face at the moment is just being able to understand not just the design aspect of it, but as you said, acquisition, getting more people to the site, converting those people into sales. I believe that's like the biggest challenge for us at the moment.
Yeah.
Marketing and awareness. All of this it has been a big challenge for us, and to kind of get the perfect outsource, with the perfect companies such as yourself. We've been burnt in the past where people want us to pay extortionate retainer fees, and there's no guarantee of sale, and we had to step back from that a bit because then we'd have killed the company.
Yeah.
So our thing is to try to keep the company alive, do what we can do, and take meetings with people such as yourself and see where is the best fit.
Yeah. It's interesting because one thing you touched on earlier was the re- you've been building the brand.
Mhm.
You have loyal customers that come back. So I guess the more you can bring in of those types of customers, the more you can make later on with the retention and referrals and those types of things.
Exactly.
So who's buying your products?
Well, it's anywhere from, say, I'd say earliest age 12 to 45, men.
A big range, yeah.
Big range, because what we do find is, a lot of younger people discover the brand. They go to their dads.
Yeah.
Oh, dad, can I have this? They got it. The dad wants it, and
Cool,
these people come back, and that's what we aim for. We aim for that kind of brand loyalty that spans generations. We kind of look at companies like Ralph Lauren, like Tommy Hilfiger, things that we wore that our dads wore, and why we ask ourselves, why did we wear it?
Yeah.
And why did our dad introduce us to it?
Yeah.
And we realize it's just the reliability and the high level of quality and the emotional feeling that you get when you wear certain garments, because there is no invention in clothes in a very long time. A t-shirt is a t-shirt is a t-shirt.
For sure, yeah.
And what separates it is the brand.
It's interesting though, because I mean, you touched on that. So I have a son who's 23, and he's in the fashion world, and I nick his clothes, he nicks mine.
Yeah,
and it's just it's the way it works.
Yeah, and the rain. It even goes to say 55. Because anybody will appreciate a nice t-shirt made by organic cotton.
Yeah, good quality products. Yeah,
quality product. And we kind of focus on these things.
Yeah,
try to keep the fabrics as natural as possible. It feels nice on the skin. Trying to always give the same customer experience, because that's part of quality. People don't understand that quality is not just the physical product; it's actually the repetition of the process.
Yeah, it's the end to end for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So you talked earlier about getting your kind of fingers burnt with what agencies and things like and those. What advice do you have for other aspiring e-commerce founders in terms of choosing an agency, choosing the platform? What advice would you give someone like yourself starting out now?
Well, I say in terms of platform, definitely Shopify. I don't see there's no other platform I personally see that is up to the task. If you look at brands like that started out similar time as us, but they're selling 150 million a year now. Brands like Represent, they're utilizing Shopify, so you see that it can work even on a scalable situation. And also the incorporation of AI tools. Shopify did this early. Because they also reached out to us, and we also spoke to them.
I saw a blog post with your comments on it. Yeah.
So as I said to them, and I said this statement, and I heard their CEO repeat the statement in spaces. I was like, that's my statement there. My wife always said, don't give too much, So AI basically democratizes space. Now we're in a situation where now we were crawling before. Now we can stand up and start walking with confidence. With the AI technology, a lot of people thought or say negative, see the negatives, but I see the positives from this, because companies like us that don't have great big budgets, now I can do things that I couldn't do. I can compete with a brand such as Represent with a budget maybe of 50 million marketing spend, where I don't even have a fraction of that. Now I can compete. Now I can use AI to help with what we're doing. And there was another part of the question that you asked. You said platform and agency.
Yeah, the agency. So that kind of, what advice would you give to in terms of you said you had your fingers burned, and I find that when I talk to a lot of founders, that's quite a common thread. So I'm curious to your thoughts on what how you would advise someone like yourself to choose the right agency. What process
I would say never go on a retainer basis. Go on a performance basis.
Yeah,
that way the company has skin in the game.
Yeah,
paid Go to someone who's willing to go paid on performance. And if they're not willing to do that, that means they don't really have confidence in their processes and their past results. That's what I'd say. I don't have a specific group or company or anything. I would just say, watch out for the people who are telling you that, oh, I will definitely be able to get you this 4 times, X times, this, because you- there's no way they can prove that unless they've
Yeah.
touched the product, unless they've been with you for some time to see how you deliver this product to customers, and there's just no way to prove that.
Yeah. Do you think there are a lot of agencies out there that are full of words and
Full of words, and they go to these seminars and everybody copy everyone, and you see them in your emails, and it's like vultures on entrepreneurs. It's like they're just coming, soon as they realize that you have something and you might be able to willing to have a marketing budget, they just attack you and attack you and attack you. And I would say to budding people who are coming into this space, just take a breath, evaluate each individual. Not saying don't take meetings, evaluate each individual and see if they're willing to have some skin in the game.
yeah,
If they're willing to, because as an entrepreneur, you put in a lot of sweat equity,
for sure, yeah.
and then you're gonna pay someone to pay for someone's lifestyle.
Yeah.
No.
It's got to be right, hasn't it?
Has to be a right fit. And if you're the type of person who has that kind of money to burn, then I'd say go ahead. But we didn't, and that's how we learned who we need to kind of how the vetting process should be. Don't get too excited, I'd say.
Don't believe everything everyone.
Exactly. There a lot of nice comments. Oh yeah, we see what you're doing and we love what you're doing. Don't get too excited. You'll know the ones who are genuinely interested in what you're doing. And if a person is not liking your product or not interested in your company, I'd say don't work with them, because it makes no sense. They're only after one thing: money, your money.
Yeah. And you want a partnership. Ultimately, what you want is a partnership.
You want a partnership because this is strategic. You need to have a close working partnership with people who know the back end of your that's proprietary information. It needs to be a close partnership. It's just risky to even do that in anyhow.
Yeah, definitely. You talked earlier about the AI and how your AI allows you to compete with some of the bigger guys. Talk to me a bit about one of the questions I've got is around technology in the future, and AI right now is a really, really hot topic. So how are you using AI to improve your business?
Well, for instance, in the past, just to get say for instance, this design, right? I spoke earlier that we have our supply chain where we can come quickly to the market with products because we
you're nimble.
Part of a strategy. I'll give this gem to guys out there. In fashion, you need to be vertically integrated. Look at the value chain and see what steps you can own.
Yeah.
And make some investments there. Because if you think about it, most brands will wait maybe a month to get a design out of a factory, print. We can do that in a couple of days.
Yeah.
So we can react to demand
moving faster,
very fast, and we don't need to hold inventory, because you're in an industry where there's high fluctuation of demand. So in order to mitigate against that, you need to either hold inventory, you need time, or you need capacity. We use time and capacity, right? So yeah, I forgot what we was.
That's all right. That's cool. In terms of the we talked a bit about
AI.
So we're talking about AI, and you were talking about how that helps you speed things up.
So
and I get.
So for instance, I remembered what I was going to say. So for instance, with models, photo shoots, these kind of things, you can get your products on a model straight away, straight onto the website, and that's the kind of space we are in at the moment. In the coming weeks, we're gonna do some transformational stuff,
Yeah, cool. Sounds really, really good. So what does the future look like? What does the rest of 25, and we just finished the first quarter of 2025. What does the future look like for you?
So at the moment, in the past, we were building out the foundations of the brand. Now we're doing the facades now. We're doing the finishing, and we consider that to be the marketing side of things. the awareness side of things, just getting seen, getting known, getting the products on influencers, artists, you know, people with followers are potential that ties into our with the ideology of our brand, because we don't just want anybody to
Yeah.
wear the brand. So it's more about getting into publications,
Yeah.
getting the
Getting that exposure.
exposure, getting the SEO, so that kind of feeds back into our platform, get people coming to the platform, retention,
Yeah.
things like that.
And what about in terms of the from a obviously you're based in Germany, like we talked about off air, and you've got an operation here in the UK.
Yeah.
What does the activity look like across Europe? Are you looking at international expansion, moving into different areas? What's the thinking?
Absolutely. One of the reasons why I also kind of you know bring part of the business here is because of the Brexit situation. When Brexit,
Yeah.
that kind of set us back it set us back big time, because we a lot of our custom was coming from the continental Europe. When Brexit hit, we were confused. We had to set up EORI numbers. When some of our suppliers were in Belgium and Portugal, and it was just
Yeah.
kind of counterproductive for us as a company. So we had to kind of figure that out. So now I can fulfill orders from for mainland Europe from Germany,
Yeah.
and my business partner can sort the operations in the UK. But
Yes.
I'm in between both places. But this is where I mainly where I do my designs and I do the artistic side of stuff.
Yeah. Cool. Excellent. So it sounds exciting for the rest of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, good.
I'm always excited, always ready for a challenge. Yeah, always ready for a challenge.
Excellent. So just finally, top tips for aspiring entrepreneurs. If you were to give them maybe like 2 or 3 pieces of advice, what would they be?
Have a strategy.
Yeah.
Stick to your
Plan.
strategy.
Yeah.
Don't pivot. Don't look left. Don't look right. Create a solid strategy. Know what the pitfalls can be. Mitigate it against those pitfalls and run with it. And the other thing is align yourself with like-minded people. Be around people, such as yourself, that's been in business for 20 odd years and can give you some gems. Learn and to get information. Learn new skills, get information. Don't be afraid to upskill. And yeah, that's best information.
Good. And what about when things are tough? Because that's one of the things we talked earlier about the challenges. What about when things are tough?
When resilience is definitely, you have to be resilient. Bear in mind what your objectives are, right? Imagine yourself on the beach, reading a paper, reading a newspaper with Forbes talking about how great you are as a young entrepreneur. These things, keep that visualization going.
Yeah.
And know that that's the end goal. So I know that every challenge, every situation that you might see as a loss, it's not a loss, it's an opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
And when you think like that, nothing will faze you.
My son says to me, every day is a school day.
Yeah.
We're constantly learning.
Always. Yeah, opportunity to learn. And so when something bad happens or something don't go right for the brand, just know that you either take that opportunity to learn or you stress out about it, and then there's no chance of you ever succeeding. Stress is not a good thing.
No, absolutely. Brilliant. Kwame, it's been great having you on. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for having me, Kevin.
It's been great.
It's a great opportunity. I appreciate it.